China's navy is bigger than America's, but the US is building expensive ships too slowly and too few in number. We might not be ready to fight China, if we need to. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Earlier last month, the U.S. Navy finished its most advanced aircraft carrier with new cutting-edge technology. Behold, elevators. No, not those elevators. These elevators. Yes, these are elevators for missiles. It apparently was a major breakthrough. The elevators lift munitions up from the depths of the ship to either the hangar bay or flight deck. According to the Navy, the advanced technology enables fewer sailors to safely move ordnance from weapons magazines to the flight deck with unparalleled speed and agility. Yes, unparalleled speed and agility until someone presses all the buttons, forcing the missiles to stop on every floor. Now you might be thinking, advanced technology? These are elevators we're talking about, right? Well, according to the Navy, these aren't just your run-of-the-mill elevators. They use things like electromagnetic motors instead of hydraulic systems. The elevators can lift more weight, up to 24,000 pounds, than those on other carriers. Their design also allows significantly safer operation. These elevators are just one of 23 brand new technologies developed for the Navy's newest aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald R. Ford, named after the 38th U.S. President. It's also the only U.S. aircraft carrier to have pardoned a previous aircraft carrier. The USS Gerald R. Ford has 11 of these high-tech missile elevators. Because the elevators can lift more weight, they allow the Ford to stock a wider range of weapons for its air wing. This is essential, especially if you want to get your fighter jets armed and launched quickly during combat. This all sounds pretty incredible, except for the fact that the USS Ford is a little behind schedule. According to Senator James Inhofe, the top Republican on the Senate Armed Services Committee, it's 6 years late and $2.8 billion over budget. At a whopping $13 billion, the world's most expensive aircraft carrier has a long history of overpromising and underperforming. It was originally supposed to be delivered in 2015. It was officially commissioned in 2017. But the deployment date kept being pushed back due to technical failures. When it comes to the weapons elevators, when it set sail in 2019, the USS Ford initially only had 2 out of 11 elevators working. But good news! Last year, only 4 of the elevators were broken. But it's not just about the weapons elevators. There were also persistent electrical problems, faults with the fighter jet launching system, and hundreds of clogged toilets. The list goes on. The USS Ford went through a lot. This stems from a much deeper problem that's plaguing the U.S. Navy. I'll show you after the break. Welcome back. The U.S. Navy hasn't been wasting time and money on just the USS Gerald R. Ford. It's been wasting time and money for a decade, building all kinds of bad ships. Part of the reason is the Navy has been so enamored with high tech that it's cramming in as much of it onto ships as possible. According to Congresswoman Elaine Luria, a Navy veteran and the vice chair of the House Armed Services Committee, the Navy embraced technology for technology's sake. The result? Too few ships that cost too much money. By building up new ships with new untested tech, the Navy has made ships prone to further delays if any one technology failed. 2 classic examples of this problem are the Zumwalt-class destroyer and the Littoral Combat Ship, LCS for short. The Zumwalt-class destroyer promised that it would dominate the seas with its latest tech, stealth, and reduced crew size. But this ship faced a lot of setbacks. Its advanced gun system didn't work right, and its long-range land attack projectiles, GPS-guided shells, were too expensive, a whopping $800,000 for each shot. So each shot of this weapon cost more than a McMansion in Arkansas. Its increasing costs led to crippling downgrades on its air search capabilities and weapons. And thanks to all these factors, instead of producing 32 Zumwalt-class destroyers as originally planned, the U.S. Navy is now commissioning just 3. Yes, 3. And those 3 destroyers alone cost $23 billion. As for the LCS, the Littoral Combat Ship, it was supposed to be cheap, fast, flexible, and easy to build, but it turned out to be literally none of those things. After spending $30 billion over a period of around 2 decades, the U.S. Navy has managed to acquire just 35 of the vessels. There were supposed to be 52. This class of ships was supposed to have swappable mission modules that can do specific missions like surface warfare, anti-submarine warfare, and minesweeping. But those capabilities were taken out to simplify the LCS due to flaws marked by cracked hulls, engine failures, unexpected rusting, software snafus, weapons glitches, and persistent criticism of how vulnerable they are to an attack. Even then, the Navy found 32 key reliability issues that plague its LCS fleet last year. Both the Zumwalt and LCS were major disappointments. Why were they built this way? Well, according to the Director for Contracting and National Security Acquisitions at the Government Accountability Office, whole programs were premised on the introduction of new technologies that will need to work while designing the program not knowing if those technologies will actually work. But even if the technologies worked out, the costs would have skyrocketed due to hidden costs like high-level training and maintenance. Getting massive cost overruns and ships with reduced capabilities delivered late and incomplete. That's a terrible deal for the U.S., especially if a naval war were to break out with China. And that's another dire problem the U.S. Navy faces. I'll tell you more after the break. Welcome back. Last year, the Chinese Navy became the world's largest, with about 355 ships and submarines. Yep, even bigger than the United States. Of course, even if China has a bigger navy, the U.S. still has several advantages. It can project power much further than China. That's because the U.S. has military bases and ports all around the world, and the U.S. has allies that can contribute with their own navies. But China can manufacture ships much faster than the U.S. It has dozens of shipyards. U.S. shipbuilding, meanwhile, is at its lowest ebb ever. We only have a few shipyards capable of building warships. This is bad news, especially if war breaks out with China. According to the Center for Strategic and International Studies, a DC-based think tank, U.S. war surge production is too slow. In the event of war, each ship lost would be effectively irreplaceable. That's because the replacement time for even one ship is so long that in effect, any ship lost in a conflict would not be replaced until the conflict was long over. The longer we engage in any major conflict, the weaker we'll be when we come out of it. So how did we get into this position? One word: laziness. We got lazy ever since the Soviet Union collapsed. After the Cold War, the demand for weapons declined, the need for surge capability disappeared, and the industrial base was under tremendous pressure to reduce cost. This has made our industrial base more brittle in the past 2 decades, and it continues to become even more brittle. Some people might say we can ramp up production like what we did in World War II, but as the Center for Strategic and International Studies points out, the mobilization in World War II succeeded because it began years before the United States formally entered the conflict. Europe was at war with Germany for more than 2 years before the U.S. joined. But in the 2020s, a conflict with China might come too quickly for us to react. We might not have enough time to build up enough military firepower in response, which is why some say we need American pirates. No, seriously, this is not a misguided Disney reboot. This is a real argument. This idea was discussed in a publication by the U.S. Naval Institute. Technically, privateering and pirating are different, because privateering uses rules and commissions called letters of marque issued by the government. The U.S. Constitution explicitly grants Congress the power to do this. Think of it like legal piracy. Privateering could offer a low-cost tool to enhance deterrence in peacetime and gain advantage in wartime. Privateers, think Blackwater military contractor types, could be authorized to capture or destroy vessels and goods for the U.S. government and be rewarded for it. The U.S. hasn't used privateers since the War of 1812, but the U.S. Navy's deficiencies now are so bad, the idea is back on the table. Yes, we are deciding between throwing tens of billions of dollars at high-tech ships that break, or pirates. Which would you choose? Leave your comments below. And if you like this show, please know we could not do it without direct support from viewers like you. Visit patreon.com/AmericaUncovered and contribute $1 or more per episode to help us keep the show going. So click the link below. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.